Daniel Day-Lewis once refused to break character for an entire film shoot. The crew had to feed him. They had to carry him. He won the Oscar. In 1989, Day-Lewis was cast as Christy Brown, an Irish writer born with severe cerebral palsy who could only control the movements of his left foot. To prepare, he spent 8 weeks at a clinic near Dublin bonding with disabled individuals. Some were entirely nonverbal. They learned their world from the inside, not as a visitor, but as someone trying to understand what it truly felt like. When filming began, he made a rule. For 6 straight weeks, he would not leave the wheelchair, not between takes, not at lunch, not ever. Crew members had to lift his wheelchair over cables and camera tracks. They spoon-fed him his meals in the canteen. He trained himself to paint and type using only his left foot. Much of the artwork in the finished film was actually made by Day-Lewis himself. He stayed hunched in that twisted posture for so long that he broke 2 ribs. He kept going. He won his first Best Actor Oscar, but the role had broken something inside him. After a few more brutal roles, he disappeared. In 1997, he moved to Florence, Italy with his family. He didn't want to make movies anymore. He apprenticed under Stefano Beymer, one of Florence's most legendary shoemakers, arriving at the workshop at 8 every morning for 10 months. An Oscar-winning actor working incognito, hand-stitching leather in a tiny Florentine shop. He finally felt at peace. The craft demanded the same perfectionism as acting, but without the psychological violence of becoming someone else. It took Martin Scorsese physically flying to Florence and walking into the shoe shop to drag Day-Lewis back to the movies. Day-Lewis became Bill the Butcher. He apprenticed with real butchers, learned knife throwing from circus performers, and stayed in character for months. He roamed the streets of Rome entirely in character, sometimes instigating fights with strangers just to maintain Bill the Butcher's aggressive energy. Filming happened during a freezing Roman winter. Day-Lewis refused to wear a modern coat because it didn't exist in the 1860s. He caught pneumonia, and then he refused antibiotics because his character wouldn't have had access to them. The crew had to force him to accept treatment. He later admitted, quote, "I went mad, totally mad. Not so good for my physical or mental health," end quote. Over his career, Day-Lewis made only 6 films in 25 years. He won 3 Best Actor Oscars out of 6 nominations, more than any actor in history. On the Lincoln set, every single person, including Steven Spielberg, had to call him Mr. President. He texted Sally Field in 19th century English. He even recorded Lincoln's voice onto a tape, shipped it to Spielberg's office in a package marked with a skull and crossbones. When President Obama asked to visit the set, Day-Lewis, still in character as Lincoln, personally turned down the sitting President of the United States. He said, "I don't think that would be a good idea. It might just be a distraction, Skipper." Spielberg didn't argue. You don't argue with Abraham Lincoln. In 2017, after Phantom Thread, Day-Lewis announced his retirement. He said the personal cost had finally outweighed the art. The man who could become anyone had finally lost the desire to be anyone but himself. Daniel Day-Lewis didn't act in movies. He disappeared into them, and every time he came back, he seemed less sure he wanted to be an actor at all. 3 Oscars, broken ribs, pneumonia, a shoemaker's apprenticeship. That's not a career, that's a haunting. Subscribe for more.